Okay, so today we're going to look at using Fusion to make an eco amplifier. Typically a project we do with Year 8. Firstly, students need to find the piece of timber that they want to use. In the case of me today, I've got a piece of 100mm by 35mm thick camphor laurel. Essentially what I'm going to do is double the thickness of the camphor laurel, so I'm going to laminate it together. So the first thing I need to do is actually create a sketch. So we're just going to create a sketch. We can click on this part here, and the sketch you want to create to start with is a rectangle, and I'm just going to create a center point rectangle. It'll give me an origin here, and I can choose the planes in which I want to start my sketch on. I'm just going to start on the bottom or the base plane, and I'm going to create a center point rectangle from my center origin coming out, and I want it to be 140mm in length. Oh, sorry, I'll take that back. I want it to be 90mm in width and 140mm in length. Most timbers come in about 90mm thick width, so that's a pretty standard size block of timber if you we're using radiata pine or something like that. The next thing I'm going to do is press E, which will bring up the extrude toolbar, and I'm clicking on the surface that I wish to extrude, and I'm going to pull that up 70mm, and I can just type that in. That's two thicknesses of 35mm timber basically. Pressing enter, you can see now I've got a solid block of timber. The next thing we want to do is create a few planes through our timber, through our block. So we're just going to hit construct, and we're going to create a mid plane to start with. And I essentially want to create a mid plane between this front surface and this back surface. So clicking on the two surfaces, I can see I'll get a mid plane. I press OK, and there's my mid plane drawn on the surface there. The next thing I want to do is construct an offset plane. I'm just going to go here to the offset plane menu, and I'm going to select the surface that I want to offset, and in this case it's going to be this back panel here. And what I'm going to do is you can click on the arrow and see whether you'll get a negative number or a positive number here. In this case I get a positive number. I'm just going to offset that 20mm, and again pressing OK. What we want to do now is essentially make a circular channel through our piece of timber. Before we do that, we might just make one more plane and make it a bit easier on us, and create another mid plane through this surface and the bottom surface, and that'll give us all these different planes through our timber, which will aid us in our design as we go. Okay, so we're going to create a sketch again. This time we're going to create an ellipse sketch. And if I select this front surface, I can find the center of my block of timber. I can find the center quite easy because I've got that mid plane running through it. And if I drag out to where the end of my ellipse I wish to have it, I can start to create the shape in which I want my circle to be at the front of my eco amplifier. Placing that there, I'm now going to go back and create another ellipse, or create another sketch. So I'm going to stop that sketch now. I'm going to create another sketch. This time I'm going to create a sketch on that second offset plane, and I'm going to use the ellipse tool again, and I'm just going to bring it out. This time I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and you can use your best judgment on the size that you want this to be, but I'm going to make it a little bit smaller than the first ellipse that I made. So essentially I'm going to have a sketch drawn there through the center of my block. The next thing I'm going to do is create another sketch. I'll finish that one, so stop sketch. I'm going to create another sketch on this back offset plane. And this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to analyze the size of my phone. Now my phone, if I measure it quickly, and everyone's phone might be a little bit different, so you'll need to think about the size of your phone. Mine is 75 millimeters. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a sketch, and I'm just going to use the line tool, and then I'm going to make a construction line, and I'm basically just going to draw a construction line from point to point, making sure it's at 90 degrees, and I'm going to draw another construction line over this side at 90 degrees, if I can get there. And then I'm just going to dimension this to these lines. So clicking D, I can get a dimension tool, and I can actually start to select this point here and this line here, and I can bring up a dimension on how far I want that construction line to be in. So if I've got a block that's 90 millimeters and I'm taking 75 millimeters off for the thickness of my phone, that leaves me 15 millimeters left. So I need about 14, and then I want to halve that for each side. So if I click here and place my measurement, okay, so I've got 15 millimeters. So if I halve 15 millimeters, I've got 7.5. So I essentially need 7.5 millimeters left on each side of my block so that my phone will sit in nicely. So I've dimensioned that at 7.5. I'm just going to dimension this side also at 7.5 millimeters. So you really need to know the size of your phone, and you need to know the size of the timbers in which you are working. Okay, now if I look, so that's where my phone needs to sit. I need to come in 75 millimeters from each side if I wish to have my phone sat in the center. The next thing you need to know is the dimension in which your speaker is. Now my speaker is in two places in the center of my phone, and it takes up an area of about 50 millimeters. So again, I'm just going to create a construction line, and if I press L for line, I can shortcut this. And I'm still in my sketch, so I can create another construction line down here. Key thing is that you're getting them at 90 degrees, otherwise you'll have an issue dimensioning them because they won't be parallel. So I'm just drawing them anywhere for now. And then I'm going to press D for dimension. And I want to come in 50 millimeters, so that's 40 millimeters short of my 90 mil measurement. So I'm just going to come out here and make this side 20, which is half of 40. And this side out here, 20, which is half of 40. Okay, and I can see my construction lines there. So what I want to do now is create another ellipse tool. From my center point, and I need to come out to those construction lines. And I'm going to make this one really skinny because I want my speaker to get bigger, smaller as it goes towards the back. So if I scroll around here now, you can see I've got a small ellipse tool in here, and an ellipse tool, a bigger one, and then a larger one at the front. If I stop that sketch now, and I turn off my bodies, okay, here are my ellipse tools through the center here. This one's done with the construction line. So I might just go back in here and edit this last sketch. I forgot to turn the construction line off. If I select that ellipse tool, I can take the construction line over on the side off, stop sketch, and now you'll see that it's a solid sketch, not a construction line sketch. Okay, we're now going to create a loft, so we go to create and hit the loft tool. From here we can basically select our, let me just cancel that. We're going to create a loft tool, and we can basically now select our 3 sketches. We can turn our body back on, and we can see here that we are going to cut. So it's going to cut between these 3 points. Clicking OK, it's going to cut like a parabolic shape through our eco amplifier to get that projection of sound from our phone. That's sensational. What we're going to do now is we're going to come up here to we're going to turn off this. We might cut our body first, split our body. So we need to see this as 2 separate pieces of timbers. Currently it's just 1 piece of timber. So what we can do here is we can go to modify, and we can come down to split body, which will open up this toolbar on the side. And you can see here we've got body to split. The body we want to split is our eco amplifier, and then we can choose a tool that we wish to split that. In this case, it's going to be the mid plane that we created. So if I click on that mid plane, press OK, you can now see that I have 2 bodies off to the side, and I can turn one on and one off. So now we've got 2 bodies. What we might do is turn the second body off, so we just have the top, because now we need to create a slot for our phone to go into. So essentially what we wish to do now is create a sketch on this surface, which is cool. I like to put in a couple of construction lines to get me started. Or let's just go straight with a rectangle. So if I just get a center point rectangle again, and I can draw that center point rectangle anywhere, it doesn't matter my sizes at this point in time. So I'm just drawing a rectangle, and by pressing dimension now I can start to dimension that sketch. So I know by measuring my phone that the thickness of my phone has to be 20 millimeters, which allows a bit of play in order to fit into my phone to fit into the slot. And then I need to dimension it by length. So still on the dimension tool. And I need my phone width to be 75 millimeters. Okay, and you'll notice that my rectangle that I've made is blue. Okay, so what that means is it's not constrained in my sketch. So I'm still on that dimension tool, but I just want to dimension now this line to this line, and I need that to be 7.5 millimeters to be in the center of my block of timber. Okay, and I need this one here to be off that back wall 10 millimeters, which it already is, in order to pick up the channel that's running through underneath for my speaker. You could actually come a little bit further forward if you wanted to, but the halfway of my speaker's there. It's almost sort of to the front of my phone, so that'll work in quite beautifully. Which is what I need to do now is press E for extrude. I can select the shape that I wish to extrude. I can start to push that away, and you can see I'm on the cut operation off to the side. The extent or the distance I wish to travel through is the entire block of timber. Pressing OK, I now have a notch through my timber which my phone can sit in, which will pick up sound. I can turn my second body on now, and there's my eco amplifier essentially made ready for CNC machining or milling.